right, we are back here at the National Basketball Association here for Wednesday, February 12th, and I kid you not, there are 15 games today. Yeah, everyone plays today. Now, I'm not against that, but it's like, who makes the NBA schedule sometimes? Why does everyone play today and we only had 4 games yesterday on Tuesday? I get it, we're going to the All-Star break, obviously, and tomorrow is the last set of games before the All-Star break until the NBA returns on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, for one game between the Lakers and the Charlotte Hornets, but I just don't get it. Like, we couldn't have just split these games up a little bit more. Like, I'm fine with all 15 teams playing today, but it's a lot. So you don't get to watch, I don't know. So you just have to watch more games on replay or the highlights more because, there's only so many games you can watch live. I don't know. And again, like I'll be watching my favorite team, so I got to watch the Utah Jazz play tonight while there are some other good games in the NBA, right? That's just what I'm saying. Regardless, everyone is playing today in the National Basketball Association. So what that allows us to do is we get to talk about every single team. And we get to look at the standings. And I'm going to talk about the standings a lot today. Sure, we're going to give picks, obviously, and that will be, primary focus of the video like it always is. But since everyone's going to be talked about today, we can talk a little bit about every single team in the standings. So let's do it. Buckle in. We've got a long video ahead. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily NBA predictions here on the channel. Earlier today, we posted our college basketball best bet, so check that video out. And over the weekend, obviously, we posted our Jared Cannonier versus Gregory Rodriguez UFC Fight Night predictions. Make sure to check that video out in the description down below. All right, on to the first of our 15 games. Wow. The Boston Celtics take on the San Antonio Spurs. I like Boston to win this game and cover the 8.5 points. They're at home. Final game for the Celtics before the All-Star break. I would expect them to take care of business here against San Antonio. Boston in a game without Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum still went to Miami and blew out the Heat. Jason Tatum is back now. It looks like Jaylen Brown's questionable for this game. Drew Holiday is still out, but that just shows you when the Celtics are on, that's what they can do. They can beat these teams by 20 points, especially a Miami team that, again, has given them trouble, obviously, in the past. I don't know if they're still trying to hype up that Celtics-Heat rivalry, especially with Jimmy now a member of the Golden State Warriors. But regardless, right, that kind of shows what the Celtics can do, right? If they're on, they can go on the road and beat another playoff team by 20-something points, right? Sorry, Tatum did play. Jaylen Brown did and Drew Holiday didn't play. I butchered that one earlier. Regardless, Tatum's elite, man. Like, again, you want to clown Jason Tatum. You want to say, again, he's not a top 5 player in the league and he's corny. I get it. But Jason Tatum, again, is a top 10 player in the league. He won an NBA championship last season, and he's willing his team to victory this year. He's the best player on the squad, sure. He has a lot of help around him. I'm not going to deny that. But Jason Tatum is undoubtedly the best player on the Boston Celtics, and he's averaging, 27 a night, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, 27 exactly a night for Tatum so far this season. Now, the Spurs go on the road here. Obviously, the new-look Spurs haven't been great with De'Aaron Fox, and obviously this is not De'Aaron Fox's fault at all, but they've lost 2 of 3 coming to this game. They were on the road for a while, losing back-to-back road games to Charlotte and to Orlando. De'Aaron Fox is yet to play at home yet in San Antonio. They're coming off a victory over the Washington Wizards, but, who can't beat the Wizards? Now, the Wizards did go on a little run, but it seems like Washington is going to start falling back off a cliff. I find it odd what San Antonio is doing. I understand what they're trying to do, playing Chris Paul at the 1 and De'Aaron at the 2. Obviously, that is not a long-term fix or a long-term thing that the Spurs are going to continue to do. I don't know if Chris Paul is going to be a member of San Antonio post this season, but I guess it kind of works. I don't know. I don't believe in the Spurs that much. I don't think they're bad. But once they play the better teams, obviously like Boston, they're going to go out here and they're going to get annihilated. It's in Boston. I expect the Celtics to win, and I expect them to cover fairly easily as well. Give me the Celtics to win this game and cover the 8.5 points. Obviously the best team in the Eastern Conference, I guess, kind of, record-wise not, but on paper they feel like the team to beat still in the East. Obviously in second right now in the Eastern Conference behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. Give me the Boston Celtics at home. Next up, we go to this game. The Orlando Magic take on the Charlotte Hornets. So the Charlotte Hornets are now trying to dispute the original trade with the Los Angeles Lakers, obviously sending Dalton Knecht and Cam Reddish over to Charlotte for Mark Williams, which is something. They're adamant on trying to get Mark Williams in Los Angeles, which makes me think that they were obviously hiding something about Mark Williams, because if they really were okay with having Mark Williams back, they wouldn't be trying to still make this trade happen. So I think Charlotte knows something about Mark Williams that we don't. They know that he's not a viable long-term guy for any team at center. So ultimately, that's the reason why I think, again, Mark Williams has been hurt for a lot of his career. I get it, but they must know a lot more about Mark Williams than at least we and the general public know about the guy. So there's a reason Charlotte's still trying to make that trade post-trade deadline, and they're trying to talk to the league about getting it done. The Hornets aren't very good. Their only win out the last 10 games is, believe it or not, the San Antonio Spurs. It was a victory where Bridges dropped 25. LaMelo Ball obviously has been playing. Melo, I believe, is out for this game, though, and ultimately that's the reason why we're taking the Orlando Magic to win this game and cover the 12.5 points as well. The Magic are big favorites for a reason. They have not been playing their best basketball, not even close to that. They're coming off a loss at home to the Atlanta Hawks in a game where originally we didn't think Trae Young was playing, but then I remember checking an hour before the game, and all of a sudden Trae Young was probable, but he was doubtful the night before. Don't understand. But good for the Hawks winning that game. We're going to talk about, a pretty big game for the Atlanta Hawks later today. They're in the Garden, just saying. But in this one, give me Orlando. The Magic have been struggling, right? They have a worse record than the Atlanta Hawks right now. They are 9th in the Eastern Conference, but I think they go out here and pick up the victory against this lowly Charlotte Hornets team. The Hornets just aren't very good. So give me Orlando to win this game and to cover the 12.5 as well. Next up, we go to the nation's capital for the Washington Wizards and the Indiana Pacers. To the shock of absolutely nobody, give me the Indiana Pacers. Indiana, I think I can shut up about the Pacers. Oh, they've only lost 3 games. They've only lost 4 games. Now they've lost 5 games in 2025. I'll stop keeping track. Indiana's still good, though, right? Again, I don't want to keep bringing up their minimal losses in 2025, but trust me, this will be the last time I do this. Guys, their losses this year are the Cavs, the Spurs in Paris, where Wembanyama gets superpowers, Portland on the road, which, believe it or not, going to the Moda Center right now is very difficult, the Lakers, who look like one of the best teams in the league, and the Knicks. Those are their only losses this season. Sorry, 2025, this year, okay? Other than that, they take care of business against every other team they play. Again, I don't think it's a hot take at all to say they beat the Washington Wizards, because obviously everyone expects them to beat the Washington Wizards. Again, Washington went on their little stretch where they won 3 in a row. They beat Minnesota, they beat Charlotte, they beat Brooklyn, but since then, the Wizards again have fallen right back down to earth, losing to the Cavs, Hawks, and Spurs, games that they've all been competitive in, kind of, but at the same time, they've been competitive, but they've lost all of them by double digits, which kind of just describes Washington Wizards basketball. They're scoring at a premium now, right? They are scoring effectively with Jordan Poole obviously leading the pool party, this team obviously as Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton, but those guys aren't going to play until after the All-Star break, so they're still without those guys tonight. I get it, Indiana's on a second half of a back-to-back, but they're playing the Washington Wizards, guys. Indiana, again, they're not losing to a team like Washington. They're just not, right? The Wizards, I can't believe I'm saying this, the Wizards might be able to catch a team like Minnesota that we saw earlier in the month, right? They're, Brooklyn and Charlotte obviously aren't elite either, but they're able to catch a team like Minnesota. I don't think they're going to be able to catch a team like the Pacers, a team that they're familiar with, obviously, in the conference. The Pacers are not going to slip up and lose this game to Washington. This is their final game before the All-Star break, and the Pacers will take care of business. So give me the Spurs to go on the road to the nation's capital and beat the Washington Wizards and cover the 9.5 points as well. We go to our next one. We go to Brooklyn, New York, and to the Barclays Center for the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. Give me the Sixers, okay? I get it. The 76ers have now lost 4 games in a row. They lose to the Raptors in their last game, lose to Milwaukee, Detroit, and Miami prior to that. But I still think they beat the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn, I believe, do they have the same record now? Brooklyn is 1 game back Philadelphia. So if the Nets win this game, they will be 1 game out the play-in, and they will be the next team, or the last team looking in right now to the Eastern Conference play-in. The Brooklyn Nets, who with a victory here will be 14 games under 500. The NBA's got a problem with the play-in. If you couldn't tell, there is a problem, and there is a major problem. Regardless, I don't think they beat Philadelphia. Surprisingly, I actually think the Sixers win. Philadelphia, I believe this is their last game before the All-Star break. Yes, they don't play because they played yesterday against Toronto, where Joel Embiid did give it a go. Embiid, scores 27 and 12. And a losing effort to the Raptors. Yeah, yikes. And now they got to go on the road and play Brooklyn. I think they can get the Nets. I kind of don't want to believe the Sixers lose 5 in a row. going into the All-Star break, right? Maxi's been playing elite basketball. He's been scoring 40 points, 30 on a nightly basis, and this team's losing 5 in a row. I don't know. Again, we've said it before, like Philly, if they can figure it out in some form, this is a team you don't want to see in the play-in because, again, at their peak, obviously, Philly can be a top 6 team easily in the Eastern Conference, but right now they're just not playing like it. I still think they can go to Brooklyn and win. Obviously, we don't expect Joel Embiid to play this game. If he played yesterday against the Raptors, he's likely not playing the second half of a back-to-back, but the Nets starting center Nick Claxton might be out in his own right. He's questionable for this game with a right ankle sprain, so you take away both the centers for both these squads, and I still think Philadelphia's got a better team. I get it, the Nets, believe it or not, have been playing much better basketball than Philadelphia. Brooklyn has actually now won 5 out of their last 6 games, beating Charlotte, Houston, losing to Washington of all teams, and then going on to beat Miami and Charlotte right after that in back-to-back games, and they're doing this all without their best player in Cam Thomas. How the hell is this going on? I don't know. I think Philly breaks it tonight. I think it's a good spot for the Sixers. I think it is. Again, Tyrese Maxey, right now this season, he's played better without Joel Embiid. So give me Tyrese Maxey to go off tonight. The biggest loss for Philadelphia, obviously, is Joel, but no Jared McCain, again, just doesn't give them that other guard scoring threat. It doesn't. And that's honestly what I think is hurting this team a lot. Because, again, Oubre's not a traditional 2. They got Paul George out there who, it's Paul George and the big 2025. Expect Joel to not play the second half of a back-to-back and instead Guerschon Yabusele start for Philadelphia instead, bumping Andre Drummond's numbers up as well, or minutes up, but, Yabusele's going to play. Yabusele plays the 4 when Embiid's playing. Regardless, give me the Sixers to go on the road and beat Brooklyn. I think they can get it done. Again, this kind of feels like an important game for the Sixers. I know the trade deadline's over, but if you lose this game, you go into the All-Star break 14 games under, which they'd still only be 2 games out the plan. Yeah. Way to go, Adam Silver. Way to go. But hey, the NBA has peak interest right now, and you can thank Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavericks for doing that. We move on now to Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks, and the Atlanta Hawks. So yes, I did hint at this earlier. Hear me out. I get it. It's kind of a running joke at this point. Give me the Atlanta Hawks. I know. But guys, hey, after the Hawks went on their big losing streak, they've won now 4 out their last 5 games. They go to Detroit. I said they were going to go to Detroit and break the losing streak. They do just that. They lose a game by 1 point to the San Antonio Spurs. They beat the Bucks. They go to Washington and take down the Wizards. And then they just beat the Magic on Monday night in Orlando. Trae Young, again, just got named to another All-Star game. He always gets, named the damn All-Star, which, again, Trae deserves to be an All-Star every single season. It's ridiculous it even comes to this where, we just got to find an injury, and obviously Trae's the next guy off the bench, which it sucks for LaMelo Ball. He's likely not going to be an All-Star unless a random injury occurs in the next 2 days, and obviously in the Eastern Conference, they add Kyrie Irving for Anthony Davis. I'm not against it, even though personally I think it should have been Domantas Sabonis, but it is what it is. I was perfectly fine with Trae Young being added to the All-Star team. He is an All-Star. He has been playing elite basketball all season long. The only reason why the Hawks are even in the play-in and only 2 games under 500 is all because of Trae Young. They trade DeAndre Hunter. Jalen Johnson's out for the season. Trae Young is doing this by his damn self. Trae this year is averaging 24 and 11.5. Outstanding numbers. And his 2 top leading scorers, 1 got traded and 2 is out for the season. So now you pair alongside him the Great Barrier Thief, obviously the Australian, in Dyson Daniels. Karis LeVert has been added to this team, obviously. Georges Niang. I mean, solid role guys, but not really guys that you're going to take to the postseason, but that's what Trae is trying to do. So wouldn't it be hilarious if they beat the Knicks? Okay. I don't think this Hawks team obviously beats the Knicks in a 7-game series. Obviously, right? Trae, again, will do his damn thing. It is always he's always out for blood when he goes and plays at Madison Square Garden or when he plays the Knicks in general. But no matter what Trae does in this series, he's not winning more than 2 games against New York in a 7-game series. But this is 1 game in the regular season. And you know what there are in the regular season that there aren't in the playoffs? Back-to-backs. The Hawks didn't play yesterday. The New York Knicks did. Okay? The Knicks had to play a tough game on the road in Indiana. It's a rematch of the team that eliminated them in the Eastern Conference semifinals last season. That's a game that, again, the Knicks were trying their hardest to absolutely go out there and win. I know they don't like the Hawks either. The Hawks eliminated them from the in-season tournament this season, but it is the second half of a back-to-back. and you do get Trae Young at Madison Square Garden. It's too good not to take it. If you want to take the conservative pick, sure. Go Atlanta plus 8.5. That could hit as well. But I don't mind plus 260. It's going to be an uphill climb. I get it. The last time Trae Young went to New York, the Knicks did go out there and beat the Hawks, but Trae is still 2-1 against him this season. Yes, I'm saying Trae and not the Hawks, because Trae is this entire team. Give me Trae Young to score at least 30 points. And again, with Trae's scoring, obviously, he's a playmaker as well. He sets his teammates up for success. Give me Trae to drop 30 plus and 15 tonight to propel the Atlanta Hawks to victory. That's just how much playing in the Garden means to him. He despises these fans. He despises this team. And give me the Hawks to carry a 4-game winning streak. Yes, this Hawks team carries a 4-game winning streak into the All-Star break with a victory again at Madison Square Garden against the New York Knicks. We go on to our next game as we will move to Canada for the Toronto Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland is a minus 13.5 point favorite. So with that being said, give me Toronto to cover the 13.5 points. Toronto's been playing fairly well against the spread recently. Hell, this spread in particular, they've covered this line in their last 3 games. They beat the Sixers, obviously, yesterday. They beat the Rockets, they cover against the Rockets the game before, only losing by 7 in Houston in a low-scoring affair. They lose to the Thunder by double digits, but obviously they cover that line still against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and that OKC team, which is definitely still favored to win the entire thing. But we've said it so many times this season, Toronto's much better at home. My only concern about them in this game, and again, I'd personally, guys, every team plays today. There's so many games you could bet on. Out of all the games there are to bet on today, I'd stay away. Just because, again, you don't know what Toronto team you're going to get. They just extended BI, Brandon Ingram, without playing a single game for the Toronto Raptors, signed a 3-year, $120 million extension. Good for Brandon Ingram. He's still out for this game. Jakob Poeltl and RJ Barrett did not play yesterday against the Philadelphia 76ers. At this point, I'd expect neither of them to play this game here against Cleveland because you're just going straight into the All-Star break after this. You get essentially a week off. So I don't think Barrett or Poeltl are going to play. Potentially maybe Jakob Poeltl. I don't think RJ Barrett's going to get cleared from the concussion for this game in particular. Maybe we see Poeltl, maybe we don't. So without those guys, again, the starting lineup, as we said yesterday, becomes IQ, Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter, or Abaji, Scotty Barnes, Abaji, and Jonathan Mobo. It's not great, but Toronto is somewhat competitive at home. Like, they're a weird team that keeps games close in Toronto. We've seen that all season long. And again, if there was ever a team that would end that little trend, it would be the Cleveland Cavaliers because of the way they're effectively able to score. But I want to take you back to a couple games ago when they went on the road. They did blow out Minnesota when they were at home, but their last 2 road games against teams, again, they're supposed to beat, especially the Washington Wizards, they only win the game by 10 points in Washington. They were down in the 3rd quarter in that basketball game. I believe they were down at halftime too, or it was very close. They go to Detroit. Pistons are good this season, but they only beat the Pistons by 3 points. We get 13.5 here at home for the Toronto Raptors. I feel like it's too good to be true, combined with the way the Raptors play up in Canada and the way the Cavs have been recently playing on the road. I get it's only 2 games, but still, the trends kind of favor here the Toronto Raptors. Give me Scotty Barnes and Grady Dick of the Toronto Raptors to cover against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We like Dick and the Raptors. Oh my God, no. We like Grady Dick and the Raptors. I like the Raptors to cover 13.5 points. Grady Dick, man. We go to our next game. I don't even know if we're halfway through yet. This is how much basketball we have today. Staying in the Eastern Conference, I believe the last Eastern Conference game, no, the Bucks play after this. But regardless, Pistons and Bulls in Chicago. We literally just saw this game. Just did. What happened? Detroit won the game by 40 points. Sure, it's the NBA. Games can swing like crazy. I don't expect it to swing that much, okay? I don't. We just saw the Pistons win this game by 40. Same location, still in the United Center, still in Chicago. The Pistons, I believe, are playing the same exact guys. Nobody's injured. Obviously, still Jaden Ivey's out, but Ivey obviously didn't play the last game against the Bulls. And Chicago's still dealing with the same injury they had, and that's Lonzo Ball. So they're still without a starter. Detroit's the much better basketball team. There's not much to say about this. Again, everything kind of points to Detroit doing the same exact thing again. They've been in Chicago this entire time. Detroit is a 6.5-point favorite on the road. I'd expect them to cover, and I'd expect them to win as well. Detroit is 2 games over 500. They are 28-26, and the Bulls keep on plummeting down the standings. But oh wait, the Sixers keep on losing as well. So that has just only reintroduced the Brooklyn Nets again in the play-in. So if the Bulls lose today, guys, and we predicted the Sixers to beat the Nets, but I wouldn't count out the Nets in that spot. The Nets, again, are 1.5 games back of the Chicago Bulls for the last play-in spot, if everything goes their way. Yeah, this is the race we needed for the NBA postseason. Chicago, Philly, and Brooklyn. You get Matt Buzelis, okay, realistically, Vooch, Joel Embiid, and D'Angelo Russell. Who will take the last spot in the Eastern Conference play-in? Who will get the honor of taking on, I don't know, the Orlando Magic in Orlando in the first play-in game? It's just like, come on, what are we doing? I like Detroit. We literally just saw the basketball game. I'm not going to change the pick. Nothing that's happened since that game, obviously, there's been no games played, makes me want to pick the Chicago Bulls. A Bulls team that inevitably feels like they're just waving the white flag this season, but they have somehow found themselves still in a play-in spot, so they kind of have to try to compete, right? Because maybe they make the play-in 16 games under 500. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. We're talking about the Nets is right back in it, and they're 15 games under. What the hell is going on? Give me Detroit on the road. The final Eastern Conference team plays now. The Miami Heat play after this. Regardless, the Milwaukee Bucks take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm taking Minnesota at home. Minnesota's coming off that loss on the road to Cleveland. It is what it is. The Cavs are good, right? I'm not going to deny that. Minnesota's dealing with injuries. Obviously, Milwaukee's dealing with a lot as well. But, Julius Randle out post the All-Star break. We'll see when he comes back. Both Mike Conley and Anthony Edwards are questionable for this game. Conley with the finger injury, Anthony Edwards with a hip injury. You look at the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, obviously, the prominent player who is out is the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is out through the All-Star break. Wait, so is someone going to replace him? Oh, no, that was Trae Young. I'm tripping. Trae Young obviously replaced Giannis in the All-Star game. Dame is probable, so we'll see Lillard. I don't know if Lillard by himself, though, is able to go into Minnesota and win. Obviously, the Bucks have other guys. We're talking about TP, Taurean Prince, Andre Jackson, Brook Lopez, who loves that deep three from beyond the elbow. But, guys, as the days keep on moving on and on, I think, again, we want to talk about Luka and Nico Harrison moving Doncic to the Lakers as the most confusing trade of the deadline. For good reason, right? For good reason. And obviously, prayers up to AD and Daniel Gafford now, but the Mavs just don't feel like they're in a good spot. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think they're a play-in team now with all the injuries that they're dealing with. But why did the Bucks trade for Kyle Kuzma? Why? He had a really good, for Kyle Kuzma, he had a good game against the Warriors. Played 34 minutes, 6 for 9 from the field, 9 for 13 at the free throw line, 21 points. Okay. But the thing is, guys, that's kind of as good as it's going to get for Kyle Kuzma with the Bucks. With the Wizards, sure, there's potential for him to go off and have big nights. But for Milwaukee, that's the best he's going to do, and that's without Giannis in the lineup. When Giannis comes back, what the hell is Kyle Kuzma? He's back on the bench, and he's not really giving you that production. But again, at the same time, do you want Kyle Kuzma to give you production? I don't know, man. I get it. Middleton was not playing great basketball this season. I completely understand that. But of all the guys you could have traded your former NBA champion for, and a guy who's been very loyal to your franchise, Giannis loves Chris Middleton, picked him with the first pick of the bench portion of the All-Star draft a couple seasons ago when Middleton was an All-Star, and you trade him for Kuz? I don't know, man. I'm surprised Middleton didn't get bought out. If I was Chris Middleton, I would be campaigning to get bought out of out of Washington. But it looks like he's going to keep on going. He's going to make his debut post the All-Star break with Washington. Obviously, the team with 9 victories. Great. You were in the midst of a playoff hunt. Now you're playing for the Wizards. So, give me the Timberwolves. Give me Minnesota here. I would expect Ant to play. It's the final game for Minnesota. Oh no, they play the Thunder tomorrow night. Maybe Ant doesn't play then. Ooh. If Ant plays, I'll take the Timberwolves. If he doesn't, then I'd say it's probably a pick 'em, and then I'd probably actually favor the Bucks. I'd just wait to bet on this. Again, if Anthony Edwards plays, then yes, I'd go with the Timberwolves. If not, Milwaukee. But again, guys, there's 15 games today. Don't bet on a game where there is a situation like this where you don't know if Edwards is going to play. And on top of that, you don't know, again, Mike Conley doesn't have the biggest impact for this team, but you don't know if Conley's going to play either. Which again, if Conley doesn't play for the Timberwolves, then Minnesota is down to their third point guard, which is going to be Rob Dillingham, obviously, because DiVincenzo was starting prior to his injury, obviously. So, I don't know. If Ant plays, I'd take the Timberwolves. If not, probably stay away. But if you force me on a pick without Anthony Edwards, yeah, give me the Bucks. Who the hell is going to score on this team? Again, Ant's putting up 40s to keep this team competitive and to keep them winning games. If he doesn't play, what the hell is this team? That's why I expect Ant to play, because Ant, again, is a competitor and wants to win games. Because Ant knows if he doesn't play, how the hell does this team win games? I mean, look at their lineup. Dillingham, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert. Who the hell even comes off the bench at that point? Exactly. Give me Minnesota to win. We expect Ant to play, just given the lineup situation with no Julius Randle. Give me the Timberwolves to win this one and to cover the spread as well. We go on to our next game as we move to New Orleans, Louisiana for the New Orleans Pelicans and the Sacramento Kings. Give me the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to keep this one short. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to keep this one short because we still got a lot to go. And honestly, I could care less about the Sacramento Kings right now. I just couldn't. Like, they've won back-to-back games. Great. DeMar DeRozan, again, I like DeMar, but I keep saying it. DeMar DeRozan shifts this team's identity. It's not the same run-and-gun the Kings anymore. It's just not. They have to play a different style of ball, and they're playing Malik Monk at the one now, which it's been working in the last two games, but who did they beat? They beat the Mavs in overtime. Great victory, by the way. DeRozan at 42. And the Pels. Okay, we just saw them beat the Pelicans. Now they have the Pelicans for back-to-back nights. Who booked the Kings and Pelicans for 3 times in the span of 5 days? Who does this stuff? Like, actually, we're going to have to talk about this game tomorrow. So yeah, honestly, yeah, I'm going to spend even less time on this game. Like, who does this type of stuff? Why are they playing 3 times in 5 days? Why? The Pelicans are horrible. They just are. I'm serious. The Zion era is over, guys. They're 12-41. They've won nothing with Zion. They've made the playoffs, once, twice, playing, you know? It's over. The Zion era is over as we know it. He's getting traded in the offseason. They have not won a basketball game since January 20th, where they beat the Utah Jazz. That was right when Zion basically came back. They went on a 4-game winning streak. They beat Chicago. They beat Dallas. They beat Utah and twice. And they haven't won since. Give me Sacramento to run them out the building, regardless of what style of game they want to play. It's been working recently, so give me Sacramento to go on the road and beat this crappy Pelicans team. There's no other way to put it. Give me Sacramento on the road to win and cover the 5.5 points. We go to our next one. This is now officially the final Eastern Conference team to play today, right? Yes, it is. Okay. The Miami Heat are in Oklahoma City to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder, have I told you guys the Thunder are the best team in the NBA? And have I told you guys that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best player in the NBA? Okay, guys, I love the Lakers. And we're hyping up the Lakers a lot for blowing all these teams out. I go to the Jazz game, they blow out the Jazz, the game's over in the first quarter, which, you know, as a Lakers fan, it's great, but then at the same time, you're like, all right, well, I paid all this money to be here, and now I'm watching, you know, G League guys. I'm watching Markieff Morris chuck up threes in the fourth quarter because the Jazz suck. But it's fine, you know, hey, got to see a Lakers victory. I'm not complaining, but we're hyping up the Lakers, who I love, that, oh, they're beating teams by 20, they're winning by 15. Guys, the Thunder do this every single night. Do you understand how crazy it is that the Thunder are 13.5 point favorites against a team that is the 6th seed, or just was the 6th seed, now the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference? Miami's a playoff team. If the playoffs start right now, more times than not, Miami's in the postseason. They got to win one out of two in the play-in. They're a postseason basketball team. And OKC is a 13.5 point favorite against them. They are a minus 800 favorite to win the game. That's how insane this team is. And I see Shannon Sharp talking on First Take on ESPN. Well, if I'm the Lakers, we want OKC. If we get OKC, we're going to the chip. I don't want to see OKC. I like Shai, but as a Lakers fan, I want the Thunder to get upset in the first round now. Because if we have to see this team in the Western Conference Finals, Jackson Hayes versus Chet. What if they play double bigs? Oh, great. Braun's got to guard Hartenstein, which should be fine, actually. But like, or Rui, probably. But it's just like, I don't want Jackson Hayes on Chet the entire game. Or Isaiah Hartenstein. Hell no. Who's going to guard Shea? Luka's definitely not doing it. I mean, maybe. I don't know if he can get his conditioning back. We'll get to the Lakers in a little bit. But like, you don't want to see OKC. But that's what I'm saying, though. This team consistently blows teams out every single night. Guys, the last time the Thunder were in a one-possession win, they did lose to Golden State and lost to Dallas. Last time they won a game by, sorry, not one possession, by single digits. Last time they won a game by single digits was January 22nd over the Utah Jazz. They've played 10 games since. Sure, they lost 2 of those games, but still. In their wins, OKC doesn't just win, they blow teams out, and that has to be credited again to the MVP of the league. He's a minus 800 favorite to win the MVP. You can get the same odds for Shea MVP as you can get for the Thunder to win this basketball game. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander averaging 32.5 points a game. He's that special. He's the best player in basketball. And again, he's going to showcase that once more tonight. Give me the OKC Thunder to win and cover the 12.5 points here at home against the Miami Heat. 13.5, doesn't matter. Does not matter. They will still cover this against the Heat. We don't even know if Tyler Hero's playing this game. He's questionable with an illness. Let's see what Khalil Ware and Bam Adebayo can do matched up with Hartenstein and Holmgren, who they seem to be starting together now. Oh, is Chet out? Oh, Chet's out with the rest. That's fine, actually, because then he plays tomorrow against the Thunder. Bring on, they'll probably play Jalen Williams, I would think, at the 4, and then go Wiggins at the 3. I think, just to deal with Adebayo and Ware. The Thunder will be fine. They'll figure this out, and Shea will have a night. Give me OKC at home to win and cover the 13.5 points. Next up, we move on to Houston, Texas for the Houston Rockets and the Phoenix Suns. Give me the Rockets. Give me the Rockets to win, but Phoenix to cover. That's where we're going to go here. 6.5, I feel like it's too much. The way the Rockets have been playing, I can't trust this team. They have been super low scoring recently. Hell, it was apparent in their last win. They beat the Raptors, sure, 94-87, but at the same time, yeah, you're scoring 94 points. Something's got to give, though. Houston, good defensive team that's been struggling scoring, taking on a Phoenix team that's a great shooting team and great shooting and great scoring team that can't play defense. Again, something's got to give. I think Houston wins, but I think, again, with this whole narrative that something's got to give in this game, I think Phoenix does keep it somewhat competitive. Again, we look at the line for this one. Phoenix is a 6.5 point dog. I feel like that's too many points in either direction here. I get it. It's in Houston, and I get it. The Suns just played yesterday against the Memphis Grizzlies, but as long as KD plays, which I don't think KD is on a rest restriction right now, right? No. Bradley Beal is out as well. The hell's going on with him? Okay, it's fine. Still, I think the Suns are able to cover this spot here against Houston. Again, there are 15 games today. This is not one of the ones I'd recommend betting on because, again, there is inconsistency with the Rockets. Don't even get me started on the inconsistencies with the Suns. That entire team is an inconsistency, and that entire team you cannot count on and rely on to do anything, okay? Right? They can score. I'll give you that. Devin Booker is an elite scorer in the league. Kevin Durant, obviously an elite player in the league. They don't play defense at all. That's why they get in so many games where they're going to score 120, but at the same time, they're giving up 120 points, right? Houston, again, good defensive team, has really been struggling to score recently and just close games. They went on a huge losing streak prior to that win on Sunday against the Toronto Raptors. They lost to the Grizz, Nets, Knicks, Timberwolves, and to the Mavs, 6 straight L's, I'm not counting, right? 6 straight L's. Still, though, you can't have that if we're going to treat you like a serious contender in the West, which honestly, this little stretch has kind of proven everything that people kind of thought about, and I did early in the season about Houston. They really weren't serious in the West, and time will only tell about that. But the Rockets have now fell away to 5th in the Western Conference. They are 33-20. Phoenix, again, is outside of the play-in right now. They are the 11th spot at 26-27, and I don't think they go on the road to Houston and win. I think they keep it competitive, obviously, but that's not going to matter to them in the standings and trying to make the playoffs. The Suns will fall 2 games out of the postseason, out of the play-in, with a loss to the Houston Rockets. I think the Suns keep it close because they're too explosive on offense to not do that. But ultimately, I think it's a very close game that the Rockets barely just edge out. Give me Houston by about 3 points to win the game at home against the Phoenix Suns. We move on now to our next game as we go to the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado, between the Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trailblazers. We just saw this basketball game. We literally just saw it. The difference this time, Portland will keep it close, all right? I did say initially going into this 2-game set between Portland and Denver that I thought the Blazers were going to be able to take one. I'm gonna take that one back. All right, I'm gonna take that take back. Okay, I don't think they're beating the Nuggets here, especially Portland coming into this game as a plus 450 dog compared to, again, what the Nuggets are getting at minus 700. There are injuries to the Blazers, and a lot of them, my goodness, their entire team's on the injury report. So that's why they're 11.5 point dogs. I still think they cover, and I'll tell you why. Denver's very injured as well, and I don't know who the hell is going to be playing for them tonight. But, oh my goodness, Portland's injury report. Buckle in, this is going to sound like a Utah Jazz injury report. Chris Murray, quad injury, questionable. Robert Williams, knee injury, questionable. Matisse Thybulle, out, ankle injury. DeAndre Ayton, out with the calf injury. Scoot, out due to a right ankle sprain. Jeremy Grant, questionable with a knee injury. Two-way players are both out as well. Oh my goodness. Doesn't matter though. Why? Because Anfernee Simons is still in the lineup, and Deni Avdija is still in the lineup as well. No Scoot sucks, but Shaedon Sharpe should be able to come off the bench and perfectly, play that role that Scoot's been, obviously playing recently. Jeremy Grant might not play. Same with Chris Murray. Oh, God. Well, Klingon's going to have to start at the 5. Who is their other 4 then? Hold on. If Grant and Chris Murray don't play, one of those two are going to have to play because I don't know who else they have at the 4. Oh, Chris Murray. Okay, probably both of them are going to play. I think we're fine here with the Blazers. Again, as long as Sharpe and Avdija play, I'm okay with Portland here. I get they got blown out in the first game, but they've already got to see this Denver team, and I'm not expecting them to win, and it's not like that same situation we saw with the Pistons and the Bulls. That was a 6.5 point line. This one, the Blazers, they could lose the game by double digits, and we still win, obviously, right? And for Denver, a bunch of injuries. The main one being, though, Michael Porter Jr. Questionable with the hamstring injury. Again, MPJ has really broken out recently, and he has led the charge in scoring for the most part for the Nuggets. Obviously, Jokic with 40-7 in their victory over Portland on Monday, but MPJ's been a huge factor to this team. We'll see if he gives it a go. Jamal Murray probable alongside Aaron Gordon. Russ obviously still out through the All-Star break, but I think Portland can cover this line here. 11.5 points. I like Portland on the spread. If you're playing minus 700 money line odds, more power to you. Take the Denver Nuggets. But I will take Portland to cover the 11.5 points here on the road before the All-Star break against Denver. We go to the Los Angeles Lakers, the second half of a back-to-back against the Utah Jazz. Obviously, the first game being played in Los Angeles. The vlog should be out later today, by the way, just saying. And the Lakers, that game wasn't close. It was a 19-point margin at the end of the basketball game, but obviously that final score does not replicate the beatdown that the Los Angeles Lakers put on the Utah Jazz. That game was effectively over essentially in the first quarter. It was over in the first. LeBron James, man, at 40 years of age, the fact that this guy is still doing this blows my mind. It blows my mind. He's still a top 5 player in the sport. Don't get it twisted. He's a top 5 player in the sport. It's unbelievable what this guy is doing. The fact that he doesn't just rely on his, tenacity to drive to the hoop. He is a all-around very great basketball player now. It's a stark difference between, again, this is LeBron in 2011 and in 2010, his final years in the first stint in Cleveland, and when we first got to Miami. It's night and day how different LeBron James is as a basketball player now. Obviously, still, he's a great playmaker now. But the way he's able to shoot, the way he is able to effectively attack the mid-range game, the three-point game as well. Guys, fun fact, I know Curry has many more attempts than LeBron James from beyond the arc this season. LeBron James, by 0.01%, has a better three-point percentage this year than Steph Curry. And you're telling me this guy isn't the greatest of all time? I'm just saying. This guy's not the GOAT. He's 40 years old. His team is one of the favorites to win the NBA championship this season. And I think they're going to end up with a 3 seed at the minimum. They're not going to get the 1 because the Thunder are there. But they could get the 2, just saying. They're only 1.5 back Denver of the 3 spot right now, and 3 games back of the 2 spot, which is the Memphis Grizzlies. I like the Lakers here. Bunch of injuries for LA. No Gabe Vincent, out with left knee soreness. Cam Reddish out, he's having a child. Dalton Connect, who knows what's going on with him. A DFS out. Luka questionable. Honestly, I don't think Luka's playing. No, Luka's probably going to play. AR probable, Bronny questionable, LeBron probable. Bronny being questionable actually matters because Bronny will probably play. I think personally, Nothing against the guy. I think Shake Milton's getting cut. I think Cam Reddish is getting cut as well. Obviously, the Lakers add Alex Len as their new backup center. I don't know if Len's going to be playing tonight or not. Maybe he will. The way I see things, though, I think Dalton Knecht is going to be pretty much just a reserve for the rest of the season. I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But Jordan Goodwin really impressed in their first game against Utah. Goodwin came off the bench, played big minutes for the Lakers, went in fairly early in the first quarter or in the second quarter, had 17 points and 9 rebounds in that game. Goodwin was on fire. He could not miss from the mid-range in that basketball game. I have a sneaking suspicion that Jordan Goodwin's going to take over the Dalton Knecht role for the rest of the season, and eventually the Lakers find a trade partner in the offseason, right? So I think the second unit tonight, though, goes probably, assuming Luka plays, you probably go Bronny, which is crazy, but it's against the Jazz. Bronny should be fine. It's not like that 76ers game we played a couple weeks ago. Bronny, Goodwin, no DFS. So actually, Knecht's still in the second unit. Knecht, Vando, Alex Len. All right. No DFS will suck. Means Rui's starting, which I don't have a problem with, and I don't have a problem with Rui starting, for the rest of the season as well. But just we do lack some depth defensively off the bench without DFS. But I guess Dalton Knecht, here's your time to shine, buddy. I think Connect's gonna have to get some run in, probably again with a guy like AR and Jordan Goodwin now, who has just been added to the team obviously as well. Utah is just it's sad what's going on with the Jazz. They just look so uninspired. It's crazy. Walker Kessler's a dog. Lauri Markkanen still shows flashes of his, all-star starter past, but man, the Jazz are just not a good basketball team. I'm taking the Lakers to win and cover the 8.5 points. They blew out the Jazz the first time around. I don't think the game being in Utah plays too much of a difference. The Lakers are on a mission. They have won 6 straight games. They will make it 7 going into the All-Star break. Give me LeBron James, and we do expect Luka to play. Give me the super team, AR, Bronny, Braun, Luka, BBL, the Big Four. Give me the Los Angeles Lakers to go on the road to Utah and take care of business and cover against the Utah Jazz. We go on to our next game. It is the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors. Give me the Warriors. The Warriors still have not lost in the Jimmy Butler era. They are 2-0 back-to-back road victories against the Chicago Bulls and the Milwaukee Bucks, given to injured squads. Well, a Bulls team that traded their entire team or their main scorer on their team, and the Bucks obviously without Giannis Antetokounmpo, but that's not the Warriors' fault they're winning those games. That's games that the Warriors are supposed to win on the road, and huge victories for the Warriors at that. Right after back-to-back losses on the road to the Jazz and the Lakers to start this road trip, the Warriors have bounced back in a great way against the Eastern Conference, and now they get the Dallas Mavericks, who I think they beat. My goodness, the injuries. This is bad. Daniel Gafford not out for the year, obviously non-contact injury, but it's a right knee sprain. He'll be reevaluated in a couple weeks. We'll probably see him in the postseason if they get there, obviously, but no Gafford tonight. AD out for the foreseeable future. We don't know when Anthony Davis is going to be out, or is he going to be back? I don't know. I would assume maybe postseason, but will AD be 100%? I don't know. They trade for Caleb Martin. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks. PJ Washington questionable tonight. Dante Exum questionable. Dwight Powell will sit out through the All-Star break. Again, a guy that we didn't really think was going to be needed for Dallas, but with no Gafford, no AD, and no Derek Lively, he's more than needed now. So what is the center position right now for the Dallas Mavericks? Are they going to really start Kyler Kelly? They're going to have to. Are they? Well, Kyler Kelly is a third-year man out of Oregon State. He's averaging 3 points a game this season. Played 34 in their loss to Cleveland on the 2nd of February. They're going to have to start him, right? With no Gafford. And they went super small when Gafford came out against Sacramento, but they're not going to play small the entire game against the Warriors. Well, they could, honestly, because the Warriors start Quinn Post. Or they can start Draymond. Oh, they have been starting Draymond. They're going to start Draymond or Post because the Buddy's in the starting lineup now. Actually, no, the Mavs are just going to go small. They're going to start Najee Marshall at the 4, aren't they? Or at the 5. God, this team's, wow. They're going to go, if I assume, let's say PJ Washington plays. So they're going to go Kyrie, Max Christie, Clay, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall. Or Marshall, PJ Washington. They'll probably play PJ Washington at the 5. Najee at the 4. My goodness, they're going to have to go small tonight. Again, though, like if we're having these discussions about, how the Mavericks going to, fix around the rotation just to make it work tonight against the Warriors, they're not winning. The Warriors are very healthy with the exception right now of Kuminga. They are going to get a lot better when Kuminga comes off the bench, obviously, but the starting lineup right now of Curry, Hield, Moody, Butler, Green, I don't know how many games that wins around the league, but against the teams they're playing right now, and especially the Dallas Mavericks who are hurt, yeah, that's going to win. It's going to. Again, Jimmy's not the move that's going to set the Warriors over the top and win them a championship, obviously, but Steph Curry has found it in his last 4 games, kind of. He does take a lot of shots, but Steph, again, if you want to look straight points-wise, 32 against the Jazz, 37 against the Lakers, 34 against the Bulls, 38 against the Bucks. Curry's scoring. He's taken more shots than he has in his entire career, but it's working in the last 2 games, and I think the Warriors do find a way to beat Dallas here tonight. Tomorrow, second half of a back-to-back in Houston. I know the Rockets haven't been great, but and I don't know. I think the Rockets might get that one. The Rockets have broken their little curse against the Warriors too, obviously, with the in-season tournament game. But in this one, give me the Warriors to win and cover the 4.5 points. Dallas, unfortunately for the squad, is not equipped to win right now, and especially without a center. So give me the Warriors. We go on to our final game of the night. Didn't think we were ever going to get here. The Memphis Grizzlies go on the road to play the Los Angeles Clippers. I get it, second half of back-to-back for the Grizz. The Clippers do play better at home sometimes because they'll have, sneaky, great shooting nights. But the Clippers have really cooled down. They have. Only 6 games over 500. They're still in the 6th spot right now in the West, but they could easily fall back into the plane with a loss tonight, and I think the Grizzlies get them, if I'm being honest with you guys. But they've just cooled off shooting-wise. Like Powell, who's still been all right, has cooled down. James Harden's cooled down kind of. And just their bench production all around is down as well. So I don't know, again, adding a former 3-time All-Star and Ben Simmons, what does that really add? Ben Simmons doesn't really play Los Angeles Clippers basketball. Now, he's kind of just what KPJ was, but just bigger, I guess. Because they got rid of Kevin Porter Jr. and they add Ben Simmons, essentially. So I guess it's kind of just Ben Simmons' role. But now Chris Dunn's probably going to move to a less ball-centered role at the 2, likely coming off the bench. I don't know. They get Bogdanovich from the Hawks. That's great. Amir Coffey's still playing all right. I don't know. The Clippers right now just kind of feel like a mess to me. They have not been the same team shooting the last 10 games. They haven't been playing their best ball. I get it, second half of a back-to-back for the Grizzlies. Everyone's healthy though, and this is still the second best team record-wise in the West. I think Jaren Jackson has a night. I think Jackson, again, you're forcing, Edie's going to be down low at Zubac, so you're forcing a guy like Derek Jones or even Kawhi to guard Jaren Jackson. That's tough, especially against the Grizzlies' best guy this season that nobody's talking about, how great Jaren Jackson has been all year long. I think the Grizzlies go to Los Angeles and win. I just think they're the better team. I get they played yesterday, but the Grizzlies are better than the Clippers, and right now the Clippers just don't have it. The Clippers, again, the way they're playing right now, they didn't get to the record that they're at in the spot they're at in the Western Conference this season by the way that they're currently playing basketball. So give me the Memphis Grizzlies to go on the road, win the game here against the Clippers, and cover the 4.5 points as well. Plus 4.5, plus 155. Give me the Grizz on the road to close the night here against the Clippers. So folks, thank you for watching our NBA predictions here for Wednesday, February 12th. Again, a 15-game video with every team playing in the National Basketball Association for today. So if you got this far in the video, folks, make sure to leave a like and make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.